Hey guys, tonight we journey to a coastal town you've probably never heard pronounced correctly. Welcome to Herculaneum. Imagine the Mediterranean breeze drifting in through carved archways, merchants folding up their stalls, and children kicking pottery shards like they're soccer balls. You don't know it yet, but everything you see, every warm-baked fig cake, every gossipy glance across the street is about to vanish. You're not just watching history happen. You're standing right inside it. You probably won't survive this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and the local time in the comments. I love seeing where in the world you're falling asleep from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're stepping through Herculaneum as it was in the summer of 79 CE, about 20 kilometers southeast of the bustling city of Naples, though of course none of that modern geography exists yet. You're in Campania, one of the Roman Empire's sunniest vacation spots. It smells like pine needles and roasted olives. There's a low hum of conversation as neighbors pour watered-down wine into clay cups and argue again about gladiator politics. The houses are beautiful in that Roman rich kind of way, lavish tiled and painted with the kind of expensive reds and blues that say, "I know a guy." You pass a wall fresco of Hercules, the town's mythological namesake, looking oddly smug for someone who once wore a lion's skin as a bathrobe. You might chuckle under your breath, but softly because laughter carries in narrow streets. Most people think of Pompeii when Vesuvius comes up in conversation. But Herculaneum is the quieter sibling, smaller, richer, and closer to the mountain. A little secret getaway for aristocrats and philosophers who like their disasters rare and their garum sauce expensive. You lucky sleeper have wandered into a town of about 5,000 souls, many of whom are preparing for a dinner they will never finish. Someone's singing off-key in a courtyard. It's either a love song or an olive oil jingle. Either way, you move past a bakery where loaves are cooling in brick ovens, their smell slightly sour, faintly yeasty. You note the scorched mark on the stone where the same bread has rested for years. People here like their routines. They believe in tomorrow. A stray dog pads by, tail flicking. He's got half a fig in his mouth and no intention of sharing. You pass men reclining on stone benches near the baths, arguing whether the emperor will ever fix the roads around Beneventum. Spoiler, he won't. What's striking is how ordinary everything feels. You spot girls in linen tunics, whispering about the baker's son. A grandmother scolds her grandson for feeding grapes to a goat again. It's a village on the edge of the sea, warm and alive, like the kind of place postcards pretend to be real. The only tension in the air comes from someone's overcooked lentils. But Vesuvius is always there always. It sits just north, rising out of the landscape like a slouching god with indigestion. You've probably seen it for days, but you stop noticing. People do that. Even now, its crater looks sleepy, harmless. The town's even built temples near its slopes for luck. Historians still argue whether anyone suspected the mountain might one day bite back. It's almost sunset. The air is cooler now. Someone's lighting a lamp with a sulfur match, its yellow glow dancing in the breeze. And somewhere above the rooftops, a bird breaks its flight midair. Not a crash, just a sudden stop, a moment. You feel it before you understand it. A hiccup in the rhythm of the world. You blink and it's gone. At the bathhouse, water sloshes quietly. Steam drifts like sleep from the caldurium. A boy jumps in too loud, gets shushed by 3 stern women and one secretly amused priest. You can still smell cedar oil and boiling herbs. At this very moment, not far away, Pompeii is starting to get strange. It begins with a sigh from the earth, a little puff of ash. Nothing terrifying, just odd, unsettling. But word hasn't reached Herculaneum yet. It will, just not in time. Down near the docks, merchants fold up their sails, humming Roman folk songs about wine war and the joys of not being dead. Fish guts get tossed to the gulls. You see a sailor checking the tide, wondering if he'll sleep on the boat tonight or wander into town for something stronger than wine. You stop at a stall with figs wrapped in honeyed leaves. The woman running it is older, wearing a faded stola and more jewelry than strictly necessary. She offers you one. You eat it. It's sticky and perfect. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you make a note, come back tomorrow. There will be no tomorrow. You pass a schoolroom where a wax tablet still holds the faint marks of someone's arithmetic exercise. A few numbers corrected in a teacher's hand. Nothing fancy. Just daily life. Just a whisper from the past you'll one day become part of. You lean against a sun-warmed column, not yet tired, not yet afraid. And as the sky darkens into that golden Roman dusk, equal parts wine and dust, you feel the town sigh beneath your sandals. Not fear, not yet. But something. A shift. A waiting. And Vesuvius waits too. You wake up early the next morning, though you didn't mean to. The sun hasn't fully risen, but something nudged you, subtle like a change in pressure, or a whisper against your skin. The streets of Herculaneum are quiet in that dreamy way only early morning can be. The baker hasn't fired the ovens yet. The fountain in the square gurgles softly, as if even the water is still sleepy. You step outside and feel the stone beneath your sandals, still warm from the night before. There's a strange stillness in the air. Not eerie exactly, just expectant. Like the town is holding its breath. You walk along the Decumanus Maximus, the town's main east-west street. It's early enough that you can hear the echo of your own footsteps. You pass a set of painted advertisements on the walls, red letters promoting a gladiator fight that probably got canceled. Funny how entertainment survives disaster until it doesn't. And yet, here it is shouting from a wall, as if everything is still fine. Someone opens a wooden shutter above you and dumps a chamber pot into the gutter. Ah yes, civilization. Around the corner, a man in a short toga is sweeping dust from his doorstep, as if that'll keep the ash away. He waves lazily, and you wave back. His dog yawns beside him, unaware it'll be one of the most perfectly preserved dogs in human history. For now, it's just trying to nap through a pigeon's taunting. You duck into the local Thermopolium, a Roman fast food joint, for a quick bite. The counter is stone with round holes for clay jars holding soup and wine. The owner, a stout man with eyebrows like caterpillars, offers you chickpea stew and a slice of cheese. You take both. It's simple, hearty, and alarmingly filling. He talks about the tremors. You haven't noticed them, but he swears the walls creaked last night. Something in his voice makes you pause, not panic, just unease. You chew your bread slower. Historians still argue whether these pre-eruption signs were obvious enough to warrant evacuation. Maybe. Maybe not. But Herculaneum didn't leave. Outside, the day stretches on in that slow Mediterranean way. You pass the Villa of the Papyri, the grandest mansion in town, built for someone too wealthy for modesty. Marble floors, elaborate gardens, and a private library rumored to hold philosophical texts that have never been seen outside its walls. Inside, someone's reading Epicurus by the fountain, totally unaware their villa will soon be the most famous archaeological paradox ever both ruined and preserved by the same blast of molten earth. You move on, watching kids chase each other through colonnades. A fruit seller haggles with a woman who absolutely does not believe those apples are fresh. Life clings to itself here, joyful, mundane, and fragile. You feel it more now, that thin line between ordinary and obliteration. Around midday, there's a low rumble, not loud, just a shudder, like a heavy cart passing by underground. A few people pause, frown, then continue what they're doing. Romans are used to tremors. This is Italy, after all. Earthquakes happen. Life moves on. You wander into the public baths. Inside, the mosaic floor feels cool beneath your feet. There's laughter echoing from the frigidarium, the cold room. A woman in her 60s is floating with her arms, outstretched, eyes closed, whispering something in Greek. You don't ask what. The water is clean, slightly sulfurous. You dip a toe, a small boy cannonballs next to you. His mother shouts at him from the changing room. It feels timeless, ancient and immediate. You notice a carved inscription near the pool's edge. Life is short. Enjoy the water. Funny how advice echoes louder when you know the ending. The day heats up. Around the forums, marble columns cast long shadow. You pass a statue of Venus chipped at the elbow, offering an eternally absent apple. Behind her, two men argue about fish taxes. You briefly wonder if they'll be found mid-argument centuries later like tragic comic figures in a mosaic. Someone shouts. A few people glance toward the direction of Pompeii, just a faint plume in the distance now. Dark. Wrong. Like someone smeared soot across the horizon. You feel it again, that hush. The wind has died. Birds are quiet. Even the stray dogs are tense, their tails stiff, noses twitching. Something old in your bones recognizes it, even if your mind doesn't yet. It's not evening yet, but lamps are being lit early. Shadows stretch too long. The light's off somehow. Pale. Ashen. You stop at a house with freshly painted murals, deep cinnabar reds, ochre yellows. A dancing figure freezes on the wall, as if listening. Inside, someone is arranging garlands for a feast that won't happen. There's still laughter, still music. But it all feels like a rehearsal. A last act performed for an audience of ghosts. You keep walking. The sea is near. You can smell it briny alive. Boats sway gently in the harbor. Fishermen tie knots they've tied 1,000 times before. You watch one of them glance toward the mountain, squinting. He doesn't say anything, but he doesn't look away either. A girl sits near the water, sketching something on a wax tablet. You peek over her shoulder. It's not bad, just a quick outline of the coast. She's drawn Vesuvius, with smoke like a joke. She giggles. You don't. You linger near the docks, feet dangling. The waves lap like slow applause. You almost forget the heaviness in the air. Almost. Then, out of nowhere, a loud, sharp pop from the direction of the mountain. A sound like rock splitting from the inside. Everyone turns. Silence. Then murmuring. Then laughter. Someone makes a joke about Vulcan cooking again. You don't laugh this time. The sun is still overhead, but it feels dimmer now. Like someone smeared the sky with soot and forgot to clean it off. You're not the only one who notices. People stop mid-conversation, looking upward with squints and raised hands to block the glare. The sky's not dark exactly, it's just not right. Near the forum, a local teacher calls his students back into the shade. Inside, boys, you'll get sunsick. But his voice trembles just enough to betray him. He knows something is wrong, he just doesn't know what. You start to see it in the animals first. A dog runs wildly down the street, no master in sight. Birds flutter in clusters, change direction, then land and sit completely still, like they're waiting for a command that never comes. A horse neighs repeatedly from a nearby stable, hooves stomping the dirt. A tremor hits. This time, it's not small. Not the kind you pretend didn't happen. You feel the ground shift like it's shrugging you off. A cup crashes in a shop. A bowl falls from a windowsill and shatters. People freeze. Silence hangs thick until someone mutters, "Just a quake a little too loud." Then more laughter. Nervous, fragile. The kind of laugh that says, "If I don't make this a joke, I'll start screaming." A few people make the sign against evil. One woman clutches a charm from her necklace, a carved bone phallus standard Roman anti-bad luck gear. Hey, if it worked for Caesar's cousin's dentist right, you move back toward the baths, where people are already leaving wrapped in towels, confused. Water sloshes strangely in the pools now, like it's recoiling. An older man insists it's a sign from Neptune, but no one's really listening. And then the sky changes. You look up and realize it's not just off color anymore, it's wrong. A column of smoke is rising from Vesuvius. Tall, straight, towering, dark gray at the base, white at the top, like the world's most cursed soft-serve cone. People stop in the streets. Some gasp, others run inside. You hear the first child cry. Historians still argue whether this was the exact moment panic took hold in Herculaneum. But standing here now, there's no denying it. Everything has shifted. No more pretending. The mountain is awake. Ash begins to fall. Light at first like gray snowflakes, soft and fluttering. It catches in people's hair sticks to the sweat on your skin. Someone coughs. Someone else screams. It's starting. You make your way down toward the Collegium of the Augustales, one of the town's grander civic buildings, where a few magistrates are already debating what to do. They shout about sending messengers, about warning Pompeii, about boats. A man in a purple-trimmed toga insists it'll pass. This happened in the time of Nero. He's quoting old reports, trying to apply dead history to living panic. His voice wavers. Another tremor hits stronger. Roof tiles rattle. Dust falls like the mountain is shaking it loose from every crevice in town. A teenager runs past, yelling something about his uncle in Pompeii. You don't catch the words, but the panic is clear. You feel it deep in your ribs now, like your heart is sinking to the tremors. You rush with a small crowd toward the beach. It feels instinctive. The sea is safety. Maybe. At the docks, chaos is blooming. Sailors are trying to untie boats. Families shout over one another, desperate to get aboard. But there aren't enough vessels, not even close. You hear someone shout, "The sea is retreating." That's not good. You glance out, and yes, the water is pulling back, revealing wet sand and scattered shells that haven't seen air in years. Historians still debate whether this was an early sign of pyroclastic surges or possibly even a tsunami that never came. Either way, it terrifies everyone. You're shoved as the crowd grows. A woman drops her sandal, tries to go back for it, and someone else pulls her forward. There's no time for sandals now. Ash falls thicker. You can taste it now. Gritty, sulfurous like burnt eggs and charcoal. You cough and wipe your eyes, but it keeps coming. Someone wraps a wet cloth around your face. You don't know who. You don't ask. You look up. The smoke column is higher now, miles high. It mushrooms at the top, dark and violent. Lightning forks inside it. Yes, volcanic lightning. It's real, wild, beautiful in a should I run or pray kind of way. The gods aren't subtle tonight. You hear a sharp cracking sound behind you. A building, a statue. You don't look. You just move. You pass people on their knees praying in Latin, Greek, even Egyptian. Every god is getting a voicemail tonight. A mother clutches her daughter under her cloak. An older man is trying to carry scrolls in one arm and his cat in the other. The cat does not approve. You pass the suburban baths again. Steam still rises from the vents, absurdly normal in the chaos. A towel flutters like a flag of surrender from the upper floor. You catch a glimpse of someone trying to close their shutters, still thinking this might pass. You want to shout, but what would you say? It's too late for advice, too early for rescue. And then comes the sound. It starts as a distant roar, like thunder, but deeper. It grows louder, closer, like 100 lions growling through stone. People stop and look toward the mountain. And then, a flash. Not fire. Not light. Something in between. And the scream of the earth itself. You don't remember starting to run, but you are. Everyone is. The sound is behind you, inside you, vibrating your ribs like a drum. You try not to fall. You dodge a barrel rolling out of a shop, duck past a man frozen mid-prayer, and sprint toward the docks again because it feels like the only direction left. Then you see it. Not fire, not lava. It's worse. It's a wall of darkness. Black boiling, moving like it's alive. Fast. Too fast. Not smoke. This is something heavier. Denser. The pyroclastic surge. You've never heard that word, of course. But your body knows. It's heat and rock and gas and death in a single rolling wave. You scream, but no one hears you over the roar. You look back once, just once, and see the sky swallowed. Buildings vanish in the blink of an eye. Statues crumble. Roofs fold like parchment. It's not a firestorm. It's erasure. You dash into an alley not knowing where it leads. Your sandals slip on ash, now layering the ground like cursed snow. The air burns your lungs. You tear cloth from your tunic and press it to your face, but it's useless. You can't breathe. You can't think. All you know is forward. You find yourself back at the docks, and now people are pushing onto boats, screaming, sobbing. A sailor throws a rope at you, shouting for help, but you can't grab it. Your hands are shaking too hard. The sea is black now, rippling unnaturally. More tremors. The ground tilts just slightly. And you wonder, is this it? Is this how the gods erase a town? No mercy, no message. Someone next to you starts reciting lines from Virgil. You can't tell if it's for comfort or desperation. Either way, he forgets the words halfway through and starts crying instead. The wave is closer now. You hear it eating buildings behind you. The fish vendor's stall, the painted advertisements, the bathhouse with the floating woman, they're gone. All of it. Consumed. Historians still argue whether people in Herculaneum had minutes or seconds before the surge hit. All you know is time is no longer real. It bends, stretches, breaks. You duck into a boathouse, one of many carved into the volcanic rock along the shore. Inside are others, dozens huddled. Some are praying, others are quiet too, afraid to speak. A mother rocks a baby who's already gone quiet. A dog barks once, then curls into a corner. You find a spot against the stone and slide down. Your back is soaked in sweat. Your lungs scream. The heat presses in like a hand around your throat. But here there is no wind, no ash. Not yet. You close your eyes. Above you, the surge devours the city. Roof tile statues, frescoes ripped into fragments and blasted into the sea. The blast is so hot, it carbonizes wood-preserved skin, turns everything organic into fragile shadows, etched in time. The surge doesn't scream. It hisses. It hisses like steam, like fury with no face. It races down from Vesuvius at hundreds of miles per hour, vaporizing the streets of Herculaneum before most people can take a final breath. Outside the boathouse, you hear it. Not through your ears, but through the stone. A deep pressure like the weight of the world itself trying to press you flat. The air shifts, then vanishes. The heat hits, instant, total. You gasp, but there's no air left. Just gas. Superheated, invisible. It tears through the entrance like a demon, and every candle snuffs out at once. Screams cut short. A child's voice ends mid-word, and then silence. It's not like falling asleep. It's like being snatched away mid-thought. There's no time for a final memory. Just light, then dark. They will find you almost 1,700 years later, perfectly preserved. Your bones curled beside strangers, ash fused to your skull like armor, your last breath still trapped inside your ribcage. Later, archaeologists will say it was quick, that the heat killed instantly, like a switch flipping. They'll say you didn't suffer. They might be right. But the final seconds, you felt them. The wind pulling back, the earth groaning, the light vanishing. And in those moments, you weren't a relic. You were alive. You're still here, but you shouldn't be. Everything is silent, like the gods themselves are holding their breath. Around you in the boathouse, the air is thick with heat and death. But somehow, you've slipped through. The world has gone still hushed by ash and fire. You blink slowly, your lashes' gritty vision blurred. Time doesn't feel real anymore. It drips, stretches, sticks. A woman nearby has stopped moving. Her head is tilted back as if she's listening for something. But she's not. You know she isn't. Above the boathouse roof groans. A fine rain of pumice pebbles falls through a crack, tapping your shoulder, your leg, like it's trying to wake you. You don't move. Not yet. You glance sideways. The mother with the child has slumped forward, body shielding her baby. A noble pose frozen in place. The kind statues try to imitate, but never get right. The air smells scorched earth and sulfur, and something you can't name. It's the smell of endings. Your throat burns. You try to swallow, but it feels like sandpaper scraping your windpipe. You touch the wall beside you. It's warm. Not comforting, warm, warning, warm. Like the inside of an oven someone forgot to turn off. And it's getting warmer. You push yourself up slowly. Your legs feel distant, numb. Your tunic clings to your body, soaked in sweat and ash. You can barely see your hands anymore. Everything is gray. Everything is dust. Outside the boathouse, the shoreline is gone. Swallowed. The sea has pulled back again, more than before. The boats that hadn't left in time now lie cracked and sideways, their hulls charred. One of them is split in two like a broken toy. You step out into the ash. It's thick now, up to your ankles in some places. You can't tell street from sidewalk anymore. The buildings are just mounds. The once proud basilica buried. The statues in the garden of the noble villa. Only a hand remains reaching out of the ash, like a plea no one heard in time. You trudge toward what used to be the main street. All sound is muffled. Even your footsteps feel like whispers. You hear something, your heartbeat at the mountain's breath. And then another sound. A distant rumble. Low. Steady. It's not thunder, it's not wind. It's the second surge. Historians still argue how many separate pyroclastic flows hit Herculaneum that day. Some say 4, others 6. But no one debates what they did. The first stripped the surface. The second scoured the bones. You freeze. There's nowhere to run. The boathouse useless now. The sea gone. The alleyways traps. You duck into a doorway. Or what used to be one. It's more of a hollow now, barely holding shape. There's a mosaic on the floor beneath the ash blue tiles, forming what might have been a dolphin, or maybe a monster. You can't tell. The sound grows. You imagine the mountains inside spilling outward, lava, ash, gas, rocks, entire forests pulverized and hurled into the sky like confetti for the apocalypse. You picture Vesuvius as a mouth gaping open, screaming without a sound. And then the air changes again. Heavier, thicker, like breathing through soup. Your ears pop. You clutch your chest. Your heart feels slow now. Tired, but it's still trying. And then nothing. Not black, not light, just absence. Like someone unplugged the world. Later, scientists will say this second surge reached over 400 hot enough to vaporize muscle and organ, leaving only bone behind. But some bones they'll find charred, others shattered from the sheer heat shock. Some skulls will have burst open like overripe fruit. But no one will know your name. Your ring will still be on your finger. Your sandal strap fused to your ankle. Your jaw frozen mid-breath. One archaeologist will say you looked peaceful. Another will call it the worst thing he's ever seen. Outside your hollow, the town finishes dying. Roofs collapse. Walls fall in slow motion, the ash catching them like a blanket. The mountain exhales again, and the sky turns darker than midnight. And still no one comes. Pompeii is screaming too over the hill. Stabiae and Oplantis choked in ash and grief. Even Naples feels the rumble now. Ships rock in the harbor. Fishermen drop their nets and pray to Neptune, even though the god clearly isn't listening today. And you are part of it now. Part of the ash, the stone, the silence. You don't wake up because you never really slept. But something changes. Not in your body's done, but in the world above. The surge passes, the dust settles, and a new sound emerges dripping. It's faint, almost imagined. Somewhere up the slope, where the villas once basked in sunlight, water trapped in aqueducts is hissing into the heat, turning instantly to steam. It's as though the city itself is exhaling its last breath. A whisper of what used to be. The air is cooling now, not cool, but cooler. A fragile stillness sets in, the kind that only follows devastation. You can feel it in the stones and the silence. A calm not born of peace, but of exhaustion. Like the earth is finished with you for now. Above ground, the city looks like it's been erased and redrawn in charcoal. The vibrant frescoes gone. The markets flattened. The bones of everyday life lie scattered under meters of ash, waiting centuries for someone to stumble upon them and say, they lived here. And they will. Eventually. But not yet. For now there is only one witness left, the mountain. It looms, its throat still smoking. An ugly, beautiful thing, majestic in the way a predator is majestic right after it's eaten. Vesuvius doesn't apologize. It doesn't explain. It just watches. Somewhere in the ruins, a mosaic floor still gleams under a fresh layer of ash, catching a little daylight filtering through the haze. A painted scene of Hercules battling a lion lies half buried. Ironic, really, your town named for a hero felled not by monsters, but by geology. You remember that statue? The one in the Forum depicting Hercules holding the sky with one hand and a club in the other. He didn't help. Neither did the priests nor the gods they served. In the end, the only power that mattered was the one rumbling beneath your feet. Historians still argue about whether the people of Herculaneum had omen signs in the days before. Water receding, birds vanishing, dogs whining. Some believe the town ignored the warnings, lulled by its wealth, its culture, its baths. Others think there were no warnings at all, just a sunny day that became history's darkest footnote. You think of your neighbor, the baker, who spent years perfecting the crust on his loaves. His oven is now a tomb. His bread turned to stone. You think of the girl who sold roses near the public fountain. Her flowers wilted the day before and she didn't show up. Maybe she lived. Maybe she didn't. You think of your brother who stayed behind in the villa to gather scrolls. You begged him to leave. He didn't listen. And now, neither of you is going anywhere. A breeze kicks up, swirling the ash into miniature storms that dance through the streets like ghosts. For a moment, it feels almost playful, like the city is remembering how to move. But it doesn't last. The wind dies. The quiet returns. Far out to sea, a Roman fleet is turning back. Pliny the Elder, curious, brilliant, and brave, is already gone, suffocated at Stabiae. His nephew, Pliny the Younger, will later write letters describing this day. His words will outlive you. His guesses will become truths. His silences, mysteries. And yet, he wasn't here. Not like you were. He didn't see the dog curled beside its owner in the boathouse. He didn't feel the heat stealing the air from your lungs. He didn't hear the silence after the surge thickened final. You did. And now you are part of the city's story. Not a name in a scroll, but a figure in ash. A shape, a shadow, a clue. Archaeologists will puzzle over your posture, your belongings, your last moments. They'll sketch diagrams, write papers. Some will stand over your remains and weep, though they don't know you. Others will brush dust from your teeth and whisper apologies too late. You won't hear them. But you are heard. And that matters. You are still lying there, perfectly still as the hours slip by. Ash continues to fall soft as snow, but hot enough to burn if it were not already cooling. It drifts over you, over the mother and child, over the others in the boathouse, layering your bodies like memories that no one meant to forget. Outside, the city is no longer a city, it's a sculpture in gray. The vibrant colors, the sea blue walls, the emerald garden mosaics, all are muted. The pastels have been swallowed. In their place, a single tone, the color of silence. The sea has begun to creep back. Slowly, awkwardly, it laps at the docks now, brushing up against the skeletons of shattered boats. Driftwood bobs beside a sandal. The tide is quiet, respectful, as if even Neptune, god of the sea, knows not to disturb what the mountain has claimed. A seagull cries alone. It circles once, then vanishes. In the forum, the market stalls stand like ghosts. You remember the noise, the haggling, the children chasing each other around the pillars. Now there's only the groan of collapsing roofs and the slow crunch of settling ash. But strange things happen in silence, because you're not quite alone. Some people survived, somehow. A man stumbles from a collapsed villa, his face covered in soot, one eye swollen shut. He trips over a tile, catches himself, coughs violently, then limps on. Where to? He doesn't know. He's not thinking. He's just moving. Farther down, a girl, maybe 13, emerges from a wine cellar. She's barefoot, her dress torn, a single gold earring still clinging to her lobe. She's carrying a cat. The animal is limp, but she doesn't know that yet, or won't admit it. They do not see each other. They do not call out. The silence has become a rule. An unspoken law, speak, and the mountain might hear you again. Somewhere else, in one of the suburban villas, a slave pulls herself free from under a beam. Her leg is broken, but she bites her lip and drags herself across the floor, past a mural of Bacchus, laughing, now cracked in half. She doesn't look back. Historians still argue whether any real escape was possible after the initial surge. Some believe a few made it by boat in the earliest hours before the sea boiled and turned on them. Others say no one survived the second wave. But what about the girl with the cat, the man with the swollen eye, the slave dragging herself forward? Maybe they were forgotten because they weren't supposed to live. But they did. They crawled away into the countryside, found caves, begged shelter from farmers, changed their names, never told their children where they were from, never spoke of the heat, the ash, the sound. You are still lying there, and memory preserved in stone, while they carry your story in blood and silence. The sun sets, or maybe it doesn't. It's hard to tell anymore. The sky is thick with debris. A sulfuric twilight falls over Herculaneum, casting long shadows that no longer belong to anything. At the edge of town, the statue of Hercules still stands, though now he's blindfolded by ash. His face expressionless, his muscles useless. You want to laugh, but of course you can't. And yet, even now, some color remains. A red ribbon flutters from the remains of a balcony. A little wax tablet, barely charred, lies near the docks, a child's handwriting still visible. A half-melted perfume bottle releases a faint trace of lavender. It's not much, but it's enough to prove that life was once here. That you were here. One archaeologist, many centuries later, will kneel beside your remains and whisper, "I'm sorry." He won't know why. But he'll feel it, like a guilt passed down through generations. Another will draw your outline, mark your final pose, and give you a number instead of a name. But her hand will tremble when she sketches your arms still curled, as if to shield your face, and the world will come to know you not as a person, but as a symbol. Not of death, but of fragility, of how quickly comfort turns to ash, of how a city can die in silence, even with all its walls intact. And so Herculaneum sleeps. You sleep. But the mountain still smokes. You feel the earth beneath you shift ever so slightly, like a slow breath. Time itself seems stretched thin, caught between moments of silence and sudden, violent noise. Your surroundings grow darker. The ash blanket thickens, layering over the city like frosting on a forgotten cake, sweet yet suffocating. Outside, the distant sea's murmur is barely audible, drowned by the occasional groan of collapsing roofs and walls. The air tastes heavy, seasoned with the bitter tang of sulfur and scorched stone. As the hours crawl on, your senses dull, yet a strange awareness lingers. A faint glow flickers on the horizon, a dying ember of daylight, struggling through the cloud of ash that cloaks the sky. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoes nearby. A building succumbs to gravity, sending a cascade of rubble cascading down like a dark waterfall. Dust fills the air, making your throat itch and your eyes sting. Your mind drifts to the grand villas perched on the hillside, once homes to wealthy Romans who entertained guests amid marble columns and lush gardens. Now they are ghostly husks, their frescoes faded, their wealth buried beneath tons of volcanic debris. Historians still argue whether many residents of Herculaneum had any warning before the eruption. Some suggest that the earlier tremors were ignored, or that faith in the gods lulled them into complacency. Others believe panic was brief and disorganized with too little time to act. You wonder about the baker's oven, cold and lifeless, and the street musicians who once filled the piazzas with melodies now silenced forever. What songs did they play? Did the strings snap under the heat? A breeze stirs, lifting ash particles that dance like tiny specters in the dim light. Among the ruins, you spot a mosaic tile peeking through the dust, a vivid scene of a sea creature battling a hero, a reminder of the city's vibrant life before death. Your body remains frozen, but your thoughts wander to the survivors, if any. Could anyone have escaped the wrath of Vesuvius? A young woman clutching her child? A fisherman steering a small boat through boiling waves? Or were all swallowed whole, leaving only bones and stories behind? You take a deep breath, if you can, filled with the scent of earth and fire loss and silence. You feel an eerie stillness settle over the ruins, heavier than before, as if the world itself is holding its breath. The ash around you has hardened into a crust, brittle and sharp beneath your fingertips. Dust motes drift lazily in the dim, sulfur-tinted light, filtering through the clouded sky like ghosts of the life that once thrived here. A sudden sharp sound, a distant crack breaks the quiet. Somewhere a beam snaps, sending a small cascade of debris to the ground. You're reminded of the city's fate, beautiful, vibrant, one moment pulverized the next. The villas, once bustling with laughter and chatter, lie silent. Their intricate frescoes, painstakingly painted by skilled artisans, have been reduced to shadowy imprints beneath layers of ash and pumice. A mosaic nearby depicts Neptune riding his chariot through waves frozen in time, ironically unable to save his city from the sea's edge. Historians still argue whether the residents truly understood the signs of the impending disaster, or whether the speed and ferocity of the eruption rendered warnings useless. Did anyone suspect the mountain's wrath, or was it a catastrophe that arrived like a thief in the night? You can almost hear the echoes of life here, the clang of a blacksmith's hammer, the murmur of merchants haggling, the laughter of children chasing one another through narrow streets. And then, the silence final and absolute. Amid the ruins, a small bronze statuette lies half-buried. It's a curious thing depicting a god you don't recognize, a reminder that amidst the chaos, life went on with its rituals and prayers. You imagine the people who once prayed to this god, hoping for protection, for safety. Their faith, like their city, shattered, but not forgotten. You lying here become part of this frozen moment, a witness to both life's fragility and the Earth's raw power. You wonder in the centuries to come, will anyone understand your story? Or will you remain just a shadow beneath the ash, silent forever? The mountain continues to rumble softly, a lullaby of destruction and memory. You're still caught beneath the weight of history buried in silence and ash as the day drags on, or maybe it's night. It's impossible to tell. The sky is a roiling sea of gray, and even the sun's determined rays can't pierce this thick veil. A smell hangs in the air, something between burnt pine and forgotten dreams. Around you, the city is a tableau of abandonment. The shops once stocked with fresh fish and fragrant herbs are empty, their shelves now home only to dust and memories. A stray dog, once a lively companion, lies curled in the corner of a collapsed house, its ribs visible through singed fur. It doesn't move. You think about the people who lived here, the seamstress threading silk by candlelight, the teacher reading scrolls to eager children, the soldier polishing his gladius. They're all frozen in this moment, their lives paused and preserved in an eternal shadow. Historians still debate how quickly the pyroclastic flows advanced and whether any could have outrun them. Some say a lucky few escaped by boat, slipping away under the cloak of smoke and ash. Others argue that even those who tried were swallowed by the boiling sea or suffocated by the poisonous air. The architecture around you is a mixture of grandeur and modesty. Marble columns lie shattered frescoes peeled away, but the sturdy city walls still stand mute sentinels to a city lost in time. You notice a child's toy, a wooden spinning top half buried nearby. It's a poignant reminder that even amidst devastation, innocence struggles to hold on. Your thoughts drift to the gods again. Did they watch helpless or indifferent? Were sacrifices made? Prayers whispered into the choking air. Did anyone blame the mountain or seek forgiveness? The mountain rumbles once more low and menacing, as if exhaling its fury before resting. You feel the heat less intensely now, as if the fire has begun to settle. But the danger lingers, a silent predator waiting to strike again. You wonder what will become of this place, of the people of you. For now, you are still here, trapped between life and death, past and future. And the mountain waits. The air grows heavier now, thick with the smell of sulfur, something else, something metallic like blood mixed with burnt copper. You shift slightly, feeling the roughness of hardened ash beneath you. But there's no relief in movement. It's as if the city itself has conspired to trap you in this eternal moment, a tomb both silent and suffocating. Your eyes wander to a nearby wall, where a fresco peeks through the grime, depicting a feast, gilded goblets, roasted meats, and laughter frozen mid-cheer. You imagine the voices that once filled these halls, the clinking of cups, the stories told under candlelight. Now only silence answers. The eruption's roar has faded into a distant, almost mournful murmur. Yet beneath that calm, you can feel the restless heartbeat of Vesuvius simmering beneath layers of earth, waiting for its next outburst. It's a reminder that nature's fury is never truly gone, just dormant. Historians still debate whether the people of Herculaneum understood the warning signs. Some argue that the early earthquakes and gas emissions were clear signals. Others suggest that disbelief and divine faith clouded judgment. Were they victims of fate or of their own hope? A stray sandal lies near your side, worn but intact. It seems absurd, this small human object surviving while everything else crumbles. You think of the owner, where did they go? Did they run? Did they fall? Or did they simply vanish into history nearby? The skeletal remains of a dog clutch, a piece of torn cloth. It's a haunting tableau of loyalty. Even in death, a testament to bonds that outlast the flames. You wonder about the last moments of the city's inhabitants, their fears, their prayers, their regrets. Were there acts of bravery, desperate escapes, quiet acceptance? The ash continues to fall softly, a gentle snowfall masking the horror beneath. You feel your eyelids grow heavy, the weight of centuries pressing down. And still the mountain waits. The ash around you shifts ever so slightly as a faint breeze whispers through the broken streets. It carries with it the faintest hint of the sea, salty and cool, a stark contrast to the choking dust that blankets everything else. You breathe it in deeply if you can, savoring the momentary relief before the weight of the mountain's fury presses down again. In the distance, you hear the faint creak of a door, swinging on its hinges, long forgotten, yet still moving, with the ghosts of the past. The sound echoes eerily through the empty villas and shattered temples. You imagine the footsteps that once filled these streets, shuffling, running, stumbling, and wonder if any survived to tell the tale. A discarded loaf of bread lies half buried near a collapsed market stall. Its crust is hardened, but you can almost smell the yeasty aroma of fresh baking, a scent that once promised nourishment and comfort, now reduced to a cruel memory. Historians still argue whether the people of Herculaneum had time to gather their belongings or flee. Some accounts suggest sudden panic, others hint at calm farewells whispered among families. Did anyone manage to salvage a precious keepsake, a token of home before the end? Nearby, the remains of a wooden boat rest half submerged in the shallow waters of the ancient harbor. Its hull is cracked and burned, but the outline is unmistakable. A vessel meant for escape hope and the uncertain promise of survival beyond the ash. You picture a fisherman weathered and tired, clutching the tiller as the world around him erupts in chaos. Did he look back at the city's glowing crown of fire? Did he pray to Neptune for mercy, or curse the gods for their silence? Your thoughts drift to the future. The archaeologists who would one day uncover these remnants, piecing together stories from shards of pottery and charred wood. They'd wonder at your life, your death, and the world that vanished beneath volcanic wrath. The mountain rumbles softly beneath your feet, a living memory etched in stone and ash. And you wait still and silent, a whisper in the ruins. A faint warmth presses against your skin, now subtle but insistent, like the distant memory of a summer's day. The ash that once fell gently now thickens, forming drifts that pile high against crumbled walls and overturned carts. You feel swallowed by the city itself, a shadow in a tomb that was once alive with color and sound. Your eyes catch the glint of something metallic, an ornate bronze bracelet, tarnished but still beautiful. You imagine the wearer, perhaps a young woman preparing for a festival, her hair braided with flowers, unaware that this would be her final adornment. It's a small, intimate reminder that life's pleasures persisted even as the end approached. The distant roar of Vesuvius has quieted to a low, almost contemplative murmur. But beneath that calm, the mountain's rage simmers ready to unleash another devastating breath. It's as if the earth itself is holding back a terrible secret, waiting for the right moment to reveal it. Historians still debate the speed of the eruption's final phases. Some say the pyroclastic surges traveled faster than any human could outrun, while others believe pockets of survivors found refuge in cellars and boats. The truth, like so much else, remains buried under layers of ash and time. A charred wooden table lies nearby, scattered with the remains of what was once a family meal. Cracked bowls, half-melted utensils. You picture the faces around that table, parents whispering soothing words, children too young to understand the doom descending. You think about the city's temples, once centers of worship and community, now silent and broken. Did the priests call for calm? Did they offer prayers to placate the gods? Or did faith falter in the face of such overwhelming destruction? The wind picks up, sending a swirl of ash past your face. You close your eyes briefly and feel the weight of centuries pressing down memories and mysteries intertwined in this frozen moment. And still the mountain waits. The silence presses in again, thick and nearly suffocating. But then from somewhere deep within the ruins, you catch a faint sound, a soft creak, the whisper of shifting stone. It reminds you that the city, though broken, is not entirely still. Beneath the surface, life once surged, and some vestiges still pulse faintly in this frozen moment. You find yourself drawn to a crumbling theater, its stone seats worn and cracked, but still recognizable. You imagine the crowd once gathered here, sharing laughter and tear stories and music. Now dust and ash fill the air, and the only audience left is time itself. Among the debris, you spot a small clay doll half buried, but intact. Its simple smile seems strangely comforting, a tiny beacon of innocence amid ruin. You wonder who played with it last, whether a child clung to it as the mountain roared. Historians still argue about how the eruption affected Herculaneum's social fabric. Some suggest the wealthy had private refuges, while others say all were equally doomed, regardless of status. Did privilege offer protection, or was nature's fury indiscriminate? Nearby, you notice a collection of scrolls remarkably preserved in a villa's library. Their fragile surfaces hint at knowledge, lost poems, recipes, perhaps even pleas for divine mercy. They stand as silent witnesses to a culture abruptly halted. The scent of burned wood lingers faintly mixed with the earthy tang of damp ash. It's a reminder that fire and water destruction and preservation were locked in a deadly dance here. You think of the fishermen who might have tried to flee by sea, the merchants who sought shelter in the crowded streets, the families huddled in basements. Their fate is a question that history still wrestles with. The mountain's rumble pulses beneath your feet, steady and unyielding. And you wait caught between the past and forever. The ash begins to settle, but the air remains thick and heavy, each breath a laborious task, as if you're inhaling centuries of grief. You stumble through the ruins, your footsteps muffled by the soft powder beneath you. The remnants of the city stretch out in all directions, a ghostly map of a world lost. Your gaze settles on a collapsed bathhouse, steam still rising faintly from its cracked pools. You imagine the bustling life here, the chatter of citizens relaxing after a long day, the scent of oils and herbs mingling with warm water. Now silence reigns where laughter once echoed. A mosaic near the bathhouse depicts the god Apollo chasing Daphne, their story frozen forever in tessellated stone. It's a poignant reminder of transformation and loss, fitting for a city swallowed by fire and ash. Historians still debate whether the residents experienced a slow, terrifying end or a swift, merciful one. Some accounts suggest many died instantly. Others argue that suffocation was a prolonged nightmare. Nearby, a half-melted bronze oil lamp lies discarded, its flame extinguished forever. It was likely a small beacon against the gathering dark, a futile attempt to hold back the inevitable night. You think about the families torn apart, the lovers separated by walls and ash. Were their last words whispered in desperation, silent prayers offered to gods who remained unseen? The scent of burnt pine drifts faintly, a reminder of forests lost to the eruption's fury. You picture the mountain's forests, once lush and green, now scorched and lifeless. The earth trembles slightly beneath you, a gentle pulse, a heartbeat from the mountain that claimed the city. And still you wait in the shadows of history. The haze thickens again, swallowing the faint outlines of buildings until only vague shapes remain. You trudge through this ghostly labyrinth, each step stirring up ancient dust that clings stubbornly to your skin and clothes. It's like walking through a dream, one where reality slips away, leaving only echoes. You come across a collapsed marketplace stall, its wooden beams charred but still recognizable. Scattered around are the remains of pottery, some shattered, some oddly intact, bearing the faded fingerprints of long-gone artisans. Among the shards, a single olive branch lies, preserved a symbol of peace in a city now at war with nature. Historians still argue whether Herculaneum's residents had enough time to prepare, or if the eruption's final stages caught them entirely off guard. Did they seek refuge in cellars, or did panic drive them into the streets? Nearby, the skeletal remains of a merchant clutching a leather satchel have been found, though their story remains a mystery. What goods were they trying to protect? And where were they headed in those last moments? You imagine the soundscape that once filled this place, the chatter of bargaining voices, the clatter of coins, the calls of vendors hawking fresh fish and fragrant spices. Now the silence is broken only by the distant rumble of the restless mountain. A faint scent of herbs still lingers in the air. Time rosemary reminders that life's small comforts persisted despite the looming disaster. You wonder about the city's animals, the dogs, cats, birds caught in the same terrifying fate. Some say a dog's skeleton was found still clutching a toy, a silent testament to loyalty and innocence lost. The mountain grumbles once more, a deep resonant growl that shakes the ground beneath your feet. And you stand there suspended between what was and what will never be again. The sun, if it still shines, is hidden behind a thick curtain of ash, turning the world into a dim twilight realm. You move carefully through the ruins, your senses heightened by the unnatural quiet. The city feels abandoned, yet somehow alive, like a giant breathing organism caught in a moment of agony. You come across a villa with its doors hanging ajar, revealing faded frescoes of mythic scenes, gods and mortals intertwined in eternal struggle. One depicts Hercules wrestling the Nemean lion, an ironic symbol of strength in a place that has just succumbed to nature's overwhelming power. Historians still debate how many of Herculaneum's residents sought shelter in their homes rather than fleeing. Some suggest that many believed the danger was over after the initial tremors, a tragic misjudgment. On a shattered table, you find a small cup tipped over its contents, long evaporated, but once surely wine, a final indulgence, perhaps shared among family or friends. You wonder what conversations were cut short, What hopes were extinguished alongside those last sips? A stray cat darts through the shadows, its eyes reflecting the dim light. It's a living reminder that even here life persists stubbornly, finding cracks and crevices to survive. The scent of scorched wood mingles with salt from the nearby sea, a bittersweet combination that marks this city's place between land and water destruction and survival. You think about the city's craftsmen, the potters, weavers, builders, whose skilled hands created beauty and function now frozen in time. What dreams did they hold? What legacies did they hope to leave? Vesuvius rumbles softly like a distant heartbeat, reminding you that this moment is both an ending and a beginning. And you, caught in this suspended breath, continue walking through history's silent shadow. The air is thick with a dust that feels almost alive, swirling in lazy spirals around your feet. The faint glow of embers from distant fires casts flickering shadows, turning the ruins into a surreal dance of light and darkness. You trudge onward, feeling the weight of the ash grow heavier with every step, as if the city itself is trying to pull you under. You come upon a narrow alley, where a cart lies overturned, its wooden wheels splintered, but still intact. Scattered around are remnants of fruits, grapes, figs, and olives, now shriveled and blackened. You imagine the hands that once gathered this harvest, the markets that bustled with life and barter, now reduced to silence. Historians still debate the speed at which the pyroclastic flows swept through Herculaneum. Some argue they were swift and merciless, while others believe some areas experienced a delayed, more gradual engulfing. Near the alley's end, a dog skeleton rests curled protectively around a small broken bowl, perhaps its last meal. It's a poignant scene of loyalty and tragedy intertwined. You pause, catching a faint sound, a distant crashing like collapsing walls or trees. It reminds you that even now, the city continues to crumble under the mountain's weight, slowly surrendering to time. A faint scent of burnt pine needles mingles with the salty tang of the sea breeze, an eerie reminder of both destruction and the persistent life surrounding this tragic place. You think about the families that once called this place home. Parents, children, elders, each with their own stories, now swallowed by ash and silence. Vesuvius rumbles beneath your feet, a low, persistent growl, as if reminding the world that it has not forgotten its power. And so you move forward, swallowed by the shadows of a city lost, but not forgotten. A cool breeze brushes past you, carrying with it the faint scent of salt and charred wood. The streets of Herculaneum stretch ahead like a ghostly maze. Walls scorched, but still standing, their secrets trapped beneath layers of volcanic ash. You step lightly, aware that the ground beneath you holds countless untold stories, waiting patiently to be uncovered. You find yourself drawn to a small shrine, tucked into a corner, adorned with broken statues of household gods. These Lares and Penehis once protected families, watching silently as the city's fate unfolded. You wonder if anyone whispered prayers here in those final moments, words of hope or despair. Historians still debate the exact timeline of the eruption's impact on Herculaneum. Some propose that a series of deadly surges engulfed the town in rapid succession, while others suggest a longer drawn-out struggle against suffocation and heat. Near the shrine, a charred sandal lies, abandoned, its owner gone, but for the faint imprint left in the ash. It's a haunting symbol of the suddenness with which lives were interrupted. You imagine the voices that once filled this corner, soft conversations, laughter, children playing, and the abrupt silence that followed. The very air seems to hold its breath. The salty tang of the sea mingles with the metallic scent of volcanic gases, creating a strange, unsettling perfume that clings to your skin. You think about the artisans, potters, smiths, painters whose crafts gave the city its vibrant character. Their tools lie scattered, frozen, mid-use, a silent testament to interrupted creativity. Vesuvius rumbles steadily, a deep, rhythmic pulse beneath your feet, a reminder that the mountain's story continues long after the city's silence. And you keep moving forward, a witness to the lingering echoes of a vanished world. The streets narrow as you weave deeper into the heart of Herculaneum. Around you, walls are etched with faded graffiti messages scrawled in haste, perhaps left by residents caught in chaos or children playing before tragedy struck. You run your fingers over the rough stone, feeling the faint pulse of history beneath your touch. A shattered oil lamp lies forgotten on the ground, its glass sides cracked, but still glinting faintly in the dim light. You imagine it flickering just moments ago, casting soft shadows on the walls as families huddled together, hoping for dawn. Historians still argue whether the eruption's initial earthquakes gave residents enough warning to escape or simply trapped them in a deadly surprise. Some believe that those closest to the shore might have had a chance to flee by boat, though the sea itself turned treacherous. Nearby, a charred basket holds remnants of bread now blackened and brittle. It's a quiet reminder of daily life, the simple sustenance that kept a city alive, abruptly stolen by disaster. You picture the bustling harbor, once alive with fishermen unloading their catch merchants, trading exotic goods, and children chasing seagulls. Now silence reigns, punctuated only by the distant, steady rumble of Vesuvius. The scent of salt and smoke mingles in the air, a bittersweet perfume marking the city's fragile place between destruction and survival. You think about the artisans, the potters, smiths, painters, whose crafts gave the city its vibrant character. Their tools lie scattered frozen mid-use, a silent testament to interrupted creativity. Vesuvius rumbles steadily, a deep, rhythmic pulse beneath your feet, a reminder that the mountain's story continues long after the city's silence. And you keep moving forward, a witness to the lingering echoes of a vanished world. The twilight deepens as you move further into the city's heart. The streets twist and turn unpredictably, as if trying to confuse any would-be escapees. You notice the charred remains of wooden shutters hanging loosely from their hinges, creaking faintly in the breeze, like the last sighs of a city gasping for breath. Your eyes catch on a fresco still clinging to a crumbling wall, an image of a ship sailing calm seas, ironically distant from the chaos erupting now. The colors are faded, but vibrant enough to hint at a once thriving maritime culture connected to far-flung ports and stories beyond the horizon. Historians still argue about the role of the sea during the eruption. Was it a safe haven, or did the tsunami waves and toxic gases make escape by boat nearly impossible? Some survivors' accounts suggest terrifying journeys, others swift deaths. Nearby, you find a tiny clay oil lamp, nearly whole its wick, long since burned out. You imagine someone clutching it tightly, searching for loved ones in the smoke and ash, a fragile light in overwhelming darkness. The scent of burnt herbs drifts faintly through the air, sage and myrtle, remnants of ancient rituals intended to protect or comfort, now lost in the violent silence. You think about the families caught here. Mothers holding children, elders leaning on canes, friends calling out in desperation. Their final moments are etched into these streets, silent stories waiting for a voice. Vesuvius hums softly, a persistent undertone beneath the city's ruins, a reminder that beneath the silence, the mountains still live. And so you continue moving through shadows, tracing the last footsteps of those who walked these streets before nightfall forever claimed them. The thick veil of ash muffles every sound, wrapping you in a ghostly silence, broken only by the occasional distant crack of collapsing stone. You press on the uneven ground, forcing your careful steps through what was once a vibrant neighborhood, now reduced to a monochrome wasteland. The faint outlines of homes appear as skeletal frames, with charred beams jutting out like broken ribs. You spot a small child's sandal lying alone, half buried in ash, a haunting emblem of innocence, abruptly stolen. It's hard not to imagine the hurried footsteps, the frightened cries, the frantic search for safety that ended here. Historians still debate whether most residents of Herculaneum died instantly, or whether some survived the initial blast only to perish later from heat and toxic gases. The truth is, the mountain's fury was as unpredictable as it was devastating. Nearby, a bronze bracelet, blackened but intact, catches your eye. Its delicate design hints at the city's affluent citizens, those who perhaps hoped their wealth could shield them from disaster, but found no refuge. The air carries a strange mix of burnt pine sulfur and salt, an almost tangible memory of the mountain's wrath and the sea's proximity. It clings to your clothes and skin as if the city itself refuses to let go. You pause at a collapsed wall adorned with faded graffiti, a message hastily scratched in Latin, pleading for mercy. The raw desperation of those last moments seeps through the centuries. Vesuvius rumbles steadily beneath you, a deep, rhythmic pulse that never quite fades, reminding you that this story, though centuries old, is still alive. And so you keep moving forward, threading through the fragile remains, a quiet witness to a city's final hours. As you step into what was once a lively bathhouse, the air grows cooler, carrying a faint echo of splashing water and murmured conversations. The stone pools lie empty, their surfaces cracked and dust-covered, silent witnesses to countless rituals of cleansing and relaxation now, forever paused. You imagine the warmth of the water, the laughter and the steam mingling with scented oils, luxury stolen by the eruption's unforgiving hand. You find a discarded bronze hairpin glinting faintly in the fading light, an intimate relic of a woman who once prepared herself here. It's a tiny thread connecting you to a personal story lost among the vast tragedy. Historians still argue about how long the city lingered in the eruption's grip before succumbing completely. Some suggest moments. Others believe minutes or hours stretched out painfully. Nearby, the faint remnants of mosaics peek from beneath layers of ash. Tiny, colorful stones, arranged in intricate patterns that once decorated the bathhouse walls. Their beauty contrasts sharply with the ruin around them. The faint scent of burnt cedar and jasmine still lingers, a strange perfume amid the devastation. It's a reminder that life's pleasures often exist right alongside its darkest moments. You think about the people who sought solace here, perhaps hoping the baths could wash away more than just dirt, but fear and grief as well. Vesuvius rumbles faintly in the distance, a low growl underscoring the stillness of the abandoned city. And as you move on, the echoes of splashing water and whispered stories fade gently behind you. The remnants of a grand villa rise before you, its marble columns fractured but still standing like silent sentinels guarding memories long buried. You step through the shattered doorway, the cracked mosaic floor beneath your feet, telling tales of luxury and loss. The intricate patterns, once vibrant with color, now dulled beneath layers of ash and time. You find a scorched writing tablet, the wax melted, but the wooden frame intact. It's a poignant reminder of daily life messages, accounts, perhaps love notes, abruptly frozen in the last moments before destruction. Historians still debate whether any of Herculaneum's wealthier residents escaped or perished within their lavish homes. The eruption showed no mercy to status or fortune. Nearby, a bronze key lies half buried in ash, a tiny symbol of doors, forever locked, secrets never revealed. The scent of burnt wood mingles with a sharp tang of volcanic sulfur, a harsh but oddly intoxicating aroma that fills the air. You imagine the lives once lived here, feasts, shared music, played plans, made all abruptly halted by the relentless force of nature. Vesuvius rumbles quietly beneath the earth, a low but constant reminder that the mountain's power is both ancient and eternal. And as you leave the villa behind, the weight of history settles around you like a heavy cloak. The narrow streets twist as you walk, the scent of ash and dust filling your nostrils. You spot a small bronze lamp still intact despite the chaos around it. It feels almost miraculous, a tiny beacon of hope in the suffocating gloom. You can almost imagine its gentle light flickering through the smoke, offering a fragile comfort to those trapped in the city's final moments. Nearby, you find the charred remains of a wooden cart, its wheels warped by the intense heat. Scattered around it are the remnants of what once might have been baskets of fruit or freshly baked bread. It's a quiet testimony to everyday life, interrupted simple tasks, abandoned forever. Historians still debate the precise sequence of events during the eruption. Some believe that pyroclastic surges hit the city in waves, each more deadly than the last, while others argue for a single catastrophic blast. You breathe in the sharp tang of sulfur mixed with the salty sea air, a potent reminder of the city's precarious position between land, sea, and fire. Your footsteps crunch softly on the ash-covered stones as you consider the families who lived here, their lives woven into these streets like the threads of a fragile tapestry now torn apart. Vesuvius rumbles low beneath you, a deep, steady growl that reverberates through your bones, a constant reminder of the mountain's lingering threat. And so you press forward, stepping through the silence of a city that once thrived, but now sleeps beneath layers of ash and memory. You enter a small courtyard where the ruins of a garden lie buried beneath a thick layer of ash. The cracked pots and shattered statues peek through the dust, whispering stories of blooming flowers and gentle breezes now forever silenced. The air is still, but you can almost feel the faint pulse of life that once filled this quiet space. Nearby, a twisted iron gate hangs off its hinges, swaying slightly with the soft wind, a fragile remnant of a boundary that once marked privacy and safety, now powerless against nature's fury. Historians still argue about the role of the gardens in Herculaneum's social life. Were they serene retreats or symbols of wealth and status? Either way, their destruction marks the loss of both beauty and sanctuary. You find a scorched piece of parchment, fragile and blackened, lying near a shattered fountain. Though its words are long lost, it feels like a silent witness to the fears and hopes of those who once tended this oasis. The scent of ash mingles faintly with the perfume of crushed herbs, rosemary, thyme, faint echoes of nature's resilience amid ruin. You think of the gardener's children chasing butterflies, lovers stealing moments away from the chaos, all swept away in the mountain's wrath. Vesuvius hums steadily beneath the earth, a reminder that beneath the silence, the mountain is always awake. And so you continue through the shattered garden, carrying the weight of lost tranquility with you as night falls over the city. The twilight deepens as you reach the town's edge, where the remnants of a small marketplace lie scattered. Broken stalls and shattered pottery litter the ground, silent witnesses to hurried barter and daily chatter, now forever stilled. You can almost hear the echoes of merchants calling out their wares, the clinking of coins, and the laughter of neighbors exchanging gossip. Among the rubble, a delicate bronze coin glints in the fading light, its image worn but recognizable, a token of commerce lost to disaster. You imagine hands exchanging it just moments before the eruption unleashed its fury. Historians still debate how long the eruption lasted and whether some people attempted to flee through these very streets or were caught off guard in the chaos. The air is thick with the mingled scents of smoke, salt, and crushed herbs, a lingering perfume of life interrupted. You think about the townsfolk who once gathered here, daily sharing stories, buying food, and living ordinary lives that were abruptly shattered. Vesuvius rumbles quietly beneath you, a steady heartbeat, beneath the city's ruins, reminding you that the mountain's presence remains eternal. And as darkness falls, you take one last look at the marketplace, a poignant reminder of a city forever frozen in time. You find yourself at the outskirts of Herculaneum, the once bustling town, now a silent grave beneath layers of ash and stone. The twilight fades into darkness, and the mountain's ominous silhouette looms above a constant brooding presence. The air is heavy, thick with the scent of sulfur and the cold ash that blankets everything in sight. You pause, feeling the weight of centuries pressing down, a deep and solemn reminder of lives abruptly ended. Among the ruins, the fragile traces of daily life, shattered pottery, scorched textiles, and weathered bones tell stories of a vibrant community extinguished in an instant. Historians still argue whether the victims of Herculaneum suffered a swift death from pyroclastic flows, a slower demise caused by toxic gases. The mountain's final act remains a chilling enigma. The distant rumble of Vesuvius resonates beneath your feet, a low growl echoing through time, warning that this ancient giant is far from silent. You reflect on the resilience of those who lived here, their lives, hopes, and fears now etched into history's memory. Though Herculaneum is gone, its story endures a haunting testament to nature's fury and humanity's fragility. And as you turn away from the ruins, the silence of the city wraps around you like a gentle shroud, carrying you back to the present. Tonight, we're diving into the astonishing world of Herculaneum's lost treasures, those incredible artifacts perfectly preserved beneath layers of volcanic ash and rock. Imagine stumbling upon a time capsule where everyday objects, delicate scrolls, and even food have been frozen in time for almost 2 millennia. You probably won't survive the shock of how vivid and intimate these finds are. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, let me know your location and local time down in the comments. It's always fun to see where you're tuning in from as we journey back in time together. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey. You trudge carefully through the ruins of Herculaneum, the quiet ghost town buried by Vesuvius's wrath in 79 AD. The air is thick with the scent of sulfur, a faint reminder of the volcanic nightmare that claimed this Roman town. Beneath the hardened ash lie treasures so well preserved, it's almost like stepping into a frozen snapshot of daily life. These aren't just broken pots and shards. You'll find wooden furniture still intact, charred yet recognizable, bronze jewelry catching the light faintly, and incredibly scrolls carbonized by the heat, but stubbornly holding secrets centuries later. Historians still argue whether the rapid burial by pyroclastic flows or slower suffocation by toxic gases caused these items to be preserved so exquisitely. Picture a humble wooden table with bronze nails resting beside a cracked ceramic bowl that once held fresh olives. Nearby a child's toy, a tiny carved figurine sits silent, frozen in a moment that would never continue. What makes Herculaneum's treasures unique compared to Pompeii or other Roman sites is this extraordinary preservation of organic materials, things that normally rot or crumble over time. Here, the ash and volcanic material acted as a perfect seal protecting the delicate from destruction. So as you wander this archaeological wonderland, imagine the lives behind these objects. Families, cooking, children, playing merchants, trading, all stopped in a single catastrophic instant. You step deeper into the story, now focusing on the very moment Herculaneum was rediscovered, an extraordinary window to the ancient past. It was the early 18th century when workmen digging for a well stumbled upon this buried city, revealing wall streets and treasures unlike anything seen before. The excitement was palpable, though the full extent of what lay beneath would take centuries to uncover. One remarkable aspect that sets Herculaneum apart is how organic materials like wood food and even papyrus scrolls survived the volcanic onslaught. Most ancient sites lose these to decay, but here the intense heat and rapid burial created a sort of time capsule. Historians still debate exactly how the pyroclastic surges, fast-moving currents of hot gas and volcanic matter, both destroyed life and preserved these precious items in almost eerie detail. As you imagine the scene, picture charred wooden beams from houses still maintaining their shapes. Food remains like carbonized bread nuts, and even fruit were discovered, telling us what residents ate just hours before disaster struck. And then, there's the villa of the papyri home. To the largest ancient library found buried under volcanic ash, a treasure trove of knowledge thought lost forever. The discovery also revealed everyday tools, hammers, cooking utensils, and even children's toys. These mundane objects suddenly became priceless clues, revealing a society frozen in time. You might chuckle imagining a Roman child's doll or a cracked oil lamp long extinguished, but whispering stories of the past. It's worth noting that while Pompeii was engulfed primarily by ashfall, Herculaneum was buried under a denser, hotter flow that carbonized and sealed everything so well. This difference causes ongoing scholarly debates about the exact nature of the eruption's impact and the survival mechanisms for these objects. So as you take this mental stroll through Herculaneum's early rediscovery and unique preservation, consider how the past can be both fragile and astonishingly enduring, all thanks to one catastrophic event. You're now wandering through the heart of Herculaneum's daily life, piecing together the story from the tools, toys, and household items unearthed from the volcanic ash. Imagine a bustling Roman town suddenly silenced and preserved like a photograph, where every chipped pot or worn sandal tells a quiet tale of the people who once lived there. In one excavated home, you find a wooden chair, its shape still sturdy despite centuries underground. Nearby, an iron cooking pot with soot marks, hints at meals long consumed. Scattered about are fragments of terracotta oil lamps, some cracked, some intact, ready to illuminate the dark Roman evenings. Historians still argue whether these homes were hastily abandoned or whether some residents stayed longer hoping to ride out the eruption. Among these everyday objects, you discover children's toys, tiny balls, carved figurines, and miniature animals. It's easy to picture a Roman child clutching one of these, a rare moment of innocence before the catastrophe. A cracked gaming board lies beside a worn wooden box, perhaps used for dice or knucklebones, reminders that even amidst daily toil, leisure was important. You find bronze utensils and keys, suggesting a mix of utility and security. Household goods like combs and cosmetic containers speak to personal care, and even the remains of wooden furniture give clues about Roman interior design. One quirky tidbit: archaeologists found fragments of leather sandals with the name of the owner etched inside, talk about ancient personalization. The sheer preservation of these items is due to Herculaneum's ash layer acting almost like a giant seal. But this preservation also sparks questions: did residents have time to gather belongings, or were these items left behind in panic? Some scholars speculate about hidden stashes of valuables, perhaps never recovered, while others imagine rushed escapes, leaving everything behind. As you walk through this silent snapshot of daily life, the objects transform from simple artifacts into windows to ancient hearts and homes. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when frozen in the cruel grip of disaster. You move now into the realm of luxury, where jewelry, clothing, and cosmetics whisper secrets of status and style among Herculaneum's residents. Imagine delicate gold earrings catching the faintest light, or fragments of richly dyed fabrics preserved against all odds beneath volcanic ash. It's a striking contrast to the rustic tools and toys you just encountered, a reminder that even in an ancient town doomed by disaster, people cared deeply about appearance and social standing. Among the treasures unearthed are finely crafted rings and bracelets, some inlaid with precious stones, others adorned with intricate engravings. These items suggest a community where wealth was displayed not just in grand architecture, but also through personal adornment. Historians still debate how accessible such luxury was, whether it belonged strictly to the elite, or if more modest citizens also wore jewelry to mark status. Cosmetics containers, some made of glass and others of terracotta, reveal a culture obsessed with grooming. You might smirk imagining Romans slathering on olive oil mixed with fragrant herbs, possibly a Roman version of crocodile dung sunscreen, which, by the way, was a real thing. And fabrics, though mostly lost to time, left traces indicating vibrant colors and complex weaving techniques. The remains of silk imported from the Far East show how trade brought exotic materials to this seaside town. Interestingly, archaeologists found traces of perfumed oils and makeup brushes, suggesting a beauty routine not unlike our own. But here's a quirky twist. Some cosmetic containers were shaped like tiny phalluses believed to ward off evil spirits, a reminder of how superstition mingled with daily life. Your mind wanders to the individuals behind these luxury items, perhaps a wealthy merchant's wife adjusting her necklace before a social gathering, or a young man preparing to impress with carefully styled hair. The eruption froze their lives, mid-motion, leaving a haunting stillness. As you reflect on these elegant relics, you realize that beneath the horror of the eruption, life's desires for beauty status and identity endured, echoing through the ashes to us today. You step closer now to the bustling heart of Herculaneum's connections beyond its walls, the harbor and trade goods that reveal a town deeply woven into the vast tapestry of the Roman world. Picture crates of amphorae stacked in a port, brimming with olive oil, wine, and garum, the prized fermented fish sauce. These items aren't just commodities. They're evidence of lively commerce, cultural exchange, and economic survival. Herculaneum wasn't just a sleepy seaside village. It was a hub where goods from across the Mediterranean arrived and departed. Archaeologists uncovered imported pottery from Greece, fine glassware from Egypt, and even exotic spices, hinting at far-flung trade routes. Imagine merchants haggling over the price of silk or rare perfumes as ships bobbed in the harbor, though historians still argue how extensive and wealthy Herculaneum's trade really was compared to Pompeii. You find broken amphora shards stamped with the names of distant producers, a sign of organized trade networks and quality control. It's fascinating that some containers still held traces of their original contents, providing rare chemical insights into ancient diets and preferences. Among the harbor artifacts are weights and scales tools of commerce that speak to the precision of Roman trade. Coins, both local and foreign, were also found hinting at a cash-based economy bustling with everyday transactions. There's a quirky story about a hoard of coins found beneath a merchant's home, possibly hidden during the panic, raising questions about wealth and survival. The port's remains also include fishing tools, hooks, nets, and even small boats, showing how the sea was central not just for trade, but for sustenance. This blend of local industry and international commerce paints a vivid picture of Herculaneum as a vibrant node in a connected ancient world. As you imagine the town's docks alive with noise and activity, remember that beneath the calm surface of the present ruins, there once thrived a community linked by trade culture and daily life, now silent but never forgotten. You now find yourself standing at the threshold of one of Herculaneum's most extraordinary secrets, the Villa of the Papyri. Imagine a sprawling Roman estate, lavish and serene, where one of the largest ancient libraries was buried beneath volcanic ash, preserving scrolls thought lost forever. The moment you enter mentally, you're stepping into the silent heart of a scholar's world, a treasure trove of knowledge from a civilization long gone. The villa's walls once echoed with the voices of philosophers and poets, and its library contained hundreds of papyrus scrolls. These carbonized scrolls, blackened by the intense heat but remarkably intact, are a testament to the villa's owner, likely a wealthy intellectual with a passion for learning. Historians still argue whether the collection was exclusively Greek philosophy, or if it also included Roman works and everyday documents. As you imagine running your fingers across these fragile scrolls, you might chuckle at the challenge scholars face trying to unroll them without causing further damage. Modern technology like multispectral imaging and X-ray scanning helps reveal the text hidden within, but much remains a tantalizing mystery. This library isn't just about books. It's a window into ancient intellectual life. The scrolls hint at debates, histories, and ideas that shaped Roman culture and thought. The villa itself was decorated with busts of famous philosophers and intricate frescoes blending art and intellect seamlessly. Quirky as it sounds, the Villa of the Papyri is the only ancient library known to be preserved in situ, meaning right where it was originally housed. This sets it apart from other collections that have survived only as fragments or copies. As you stand there, surrounded by ash and silence, it's humbling to realize you're witnessing the remnants of a world where ideas were as valued as gold. Frozen in time, you continue your journey through Herculaneum, now drawn to the human stories etched in skeletal remains and the mystery surrounding the final moments of its inhabitants. Picture a small group of people sheltering in a boathouse, their bodies discovered centuries later in positions suggesting desperation and fear. The evidence suggests that they were overcome not by lava or ash, but by deadly volcanic gases, an invisible killer. These remains, carbonized yet remarkably preserved, give us an intimate though haunting glimpse into the eruption's human toll. Scientists have found that the victims suffered instantaneous death, caused by a lethal surge of superheated gas and ash, which scientists call a pyroclastic flow. Historians still debate how much warning the residents had, and whether some chose to stay, hoping to survive the catastrophe. In the boathouse, bodies were found huddled together, suggesting an attempt to protect one another. Some show signs of thermal shock, indicating exposure to temperatures so extreme that the brain instantly boiled. The scene is chilling, yet it speaks to the very human instinct to seek shelter, even when the odds were impossible. Interestingly, the position of the bodies indicates some may have been trying to escape by sea but were trapped. Nearby, wooden remains of boats were found, hinting at a frantic final effort to flee. The discovery of these victims also sparked debates about the timing of the eruption's deadly phases. Did some die immediately, or did others survive longer before succumbing? This discussion helps historians reconstruct the eruption's terrifying timeline. Standing amidst the ruins, you feel the weight of these lives frozen in the last desperate moments, a reminder that beneath the layers of history lie real people with hopes, fears, and heartbreak. You find yourself drifting through the streets of Herculaneum as they once were alive, with the sounds of daily life vendors calling out children laughing and the distant clang of a blacksmith's hammer. But now these lively streets lie buried beneath centuries of volcanic ash, and your imagination must fill the silence. The ruins reveal a city carefully planned with narrow alleys, neatly laid out houses, and public baths, reflecting the importance of social life. The city's infrastructure was remarkably advanced. Aqueducts and sophisticated plumbing brought fresh water into homes, while public fountains provided gathering spots. You can almost hear the splash of water from ancient fountains, long dried but preserved in stone. Historians still argue about how widespread the use of these amenities was among common citizens versus the wealthy elite. The streets were paved with basalt stones worn smooth by generations of foot traffic. You might picture Roman merchants wheeling carts full of goods, or perhaps a toga-clad citizen striding purposefully toward the forum. Nearby, the remains of bakeries with ovens and mills hint at the importance of bread in the Roman diet, a staple likely enjoyed by nearly everyone. Interestingly, archaeologists found carbonized loaves of bread in ovens, giving us a direct sensory connection to the smells and tastes of the past. Imagine the aroma of freshly baked bread just before the eruption. Public buildings like the baths were not only places for hygiene, but also social interaction, politics, and relaxation. The ruins reveal mosaics and frescoes that hint at the art and leisure enjoyed by residents. As you wander these silent streets, remember that Herculaneum was a vibrant community, thriving with the complexities of urban life until the moment nature decided otherwise. You step into the darker side of Herculaneum's final hours, where fear and confusion must have ruled. Imagine the town's residents suddenly realizing the eruption was not a distant rumble, but a deadly force creeping closer. Panic probably spread quickly as the sky darkened with ash and the ground trembled underfoot. Evidence shows some people tried to flee while others sought shelter. The narrow streets might have become chaotic choke points, with families clutching what little they could carry. Historians still argue whether organized evacuations occurred or if the chaos was total. Some residents may have thought the worst had passed after initial tremors, underestimating the volcano's fury. You picture a group rushing to the harbor, hoping to escape by boat. But the harbor, too, was soon overwhelmed. Fiery projectiles rained down, and the toxic clouds of gas filled the air. This terrifying mix of natural phenomena would have been nearly impossible to outrun or avoid. Amidst the chaos, some might have turned to religion or superstition, clutching charms or praying to the gods. The quirky discovery of phallic amulets among the ruins reflects Roman beliefs in protective magic, especially in times of danger. The eruption's progression remains a subject of debate among scientists and historians. Did pyroclastic flows arrive suddenly, or were there multiple waves? The timing of these deadly surges helps us understand how the final moments unfolded. As you imagine the fear gripping Herculaneum's residents, the silence of the ruins today is a stark contrast, a reminder of nature's overwhelming power and the fragility of human life. You move toward the aftermath, the eerie silence and frozen chaos left behind when the fury of Mount Vesuvius finally subsided. The streets you imagined so full of life are now blanketed by thick layers of volcanic ash and pumice. Roofs collapsed under the weight homes were buried, and the vibrant community vanished beneath a tomb of stone and dust. Archaeologists carefully excavating these ruins have uncovered a startling array of artifacts, jewelry, pottery, tools, even wooden furniture preserved with incredible detail. The ash acted like a natural preservative, freezing a moment in time almost 2 millennia ago. Historians still debate how much of the city was rebuilt or re-inhabited before being completely lost to history. You find yourself pondering the resilience of nature, how plants and animals slowly reclaimed the land, burying evidence under layers of earth until rediscovered centuries later. A quirky find in the ruins includes carbonized food like nuts and fruits, offering a unique glimpse into ancient Roman diets and culinary preferences. The tragic beauty of Herculaneum lies in these paradoxes: destruction that preserved, death that immortalized. You imagine future generations uncovering these secrets, piecing together stories from shards and bones. Scientists also debate the speed at which the eruption unfolded. Some evidence points to rapid burial, while other signs suggest lingering hazards that delayed rescue or recovery efforts. As you drift through the ruins, the weight of history presses softly, reminding you that even in destruction, life leaves a lasting imprint. You now glimpse the personal side of the disaster through the stories of specific families and individuals caught in the eruption's final hours. Imagine a merchant's household busy with preparations for the day, suddenly interrupted by tremors and dark skies. Fragments of letters and household items found in their home hint at lives abruptly halted. In one excavated house, archaeologists discovered a jewelry box overturned, and its contents spilled signs of hasty escape or sudden catastrophe. Historians still debate whether some families tried to hide valuables or carried them in desperate flight. Among the victims, some were found clutching personal objects, a scroll, a coin, even a child's toy, touching reminders of ordinary life amidst extraordinary disaster. These intimate details humanize the tragedy, reminding you that these weren't just ancient names or ruins, but people with hopes, fears, and love. Interestingly, one family's remains were found in a configuration suggesting they may have sought refuge in a cellar, hoping to survive the eruption's fury. This raises questions about how much people understood the nature of volcanic threats and the best ways to survive. The discovery of graffiti and inscriptions nearby adds another layer to this personal narrative, words of fear, hope, or resignation scratched into walls just before death. It's a haunting record of human emotion etched in stone. As you imagine these individuals, you feel a quiet connection across the centuries, a shared moment frozen by fate and fire. You wander through the remnants of Herculaneum's public life, where community rituals, celebrations, and social interactions once flourished. The town's forum was the beating heart, where citizens gathered to discuss politics, religion, and local news. Imagine colorful frescoes decorating temples and statues of deities, and emperors standing watch over the square. In one corner, a small amphitheater hosted plays and performances, offering entertainment and social cohesion. Historians still debate how often such events occurred and whether the eruption interrupted a festival or religious ceremony that day. Nearby baths were more than just places to clean up, they were social hubs. Here, people exchanged gossip, conducted business, and relaxed. The ruins show elaborate heating systems called hypocausts, which kept the baths warm and steamy, quite the luxury. Interestingly, the discovery of erotic frescoes in some public spaces reveals a culture more open about sexuality than you might expect. These artworks likely served symbolic or religious purposes, sparking lively debate among scholars about their exact meaning. Inscriptions and graffiti found around the forum provide glimpses into political rivalries and local personalities, adding texture to the social tapestry. As you stroll through this once vibrant public space, imagine the conversations, debates, and laughter that echoed here, soon silenced by ash, but not forgotten. You now approach the intricate details of the volcanic eruption itself, diving deep into the science behind Mount Vesuvius's deadly fury. Imagine the mountain rumbling ominously for days before the final explosion, spewing ash and gases high into the sky, blotting out the sun and plunging the area into unnatural darkness. Volcanologists today study the layers of ash and pumice left behind to reconstruct the eruption's timeline, revealing multiple explosive phases. Some evidence suggests the initial eruption sent ash clouds soaring tens of kilometers into the atmosphere, affecting climate far beyond Italy. Historians still argue about the exact sequence and timing of these phases and how they influence the disaster's outcome. You picture the pyroclastic flows, fast-moving currents of hot gas and volcanic matter that swept down the mountain slopes with terrifying speed and temperature. These flows were responsible for the immediate and total destruction of Herculaneum, turning wooden structures to charcoal and instantly killing all in their path. Interestingly, the chemical analysis of volcanic glass and ash layers reveals variations that help scientists pinpoint different eruption stages. These findings also offer clues about Vesuvius's potential future activity, making Herculaneum a crucial case study in volcanic hazard management. As you imagine the mountain's relentless power, the delicate balance between human life and natural forces becomes starkly clear, a reminder of how quickly everything can change. You delve now into the archaeological discoveries that have illuminated so much about Herculaneum's sudden end and preservation. Excavations began in the 18th century, and the site continues to surprise with artifacts that paint a vivid picture of Roman life frozen in time. Imagine the painstaking process of digging through layers of hardened volcanic material, revealing everything from ornate frescoes to everyday utensils. The preservation is so exceptional that even wooden objects rarely surviving thousands of years elsewhere have been recovered intact. Historians still debate the best methods to conserve these delicate finds once exposed to air. You might find it quirky that the eruption's ash acted almost like a natural refrigerator, protecting organic materials such as food textiles and even woven baskets. This has given us rare insight into the diet, fashion, and technology of the period. Among the most striking discoveries are carbonized scrolls from the Villa of the Papyri, containing texts by ancient philosophers that survived against all odds. Scholars continue to debate the full contents and significance of this unique library. Standing amid these treasures, you realize how much Herculaneum offers not just as a tragedy, but as a gateway into a lost world, one that continues to teach and inspire millennia later. As your journey through Herculaneum's final hours winds to a close, you reflect on the lasting legacy of this tragic city, how it shaped our understanding of history, nature, and humanity. The eruption was catastrophic, but it also preserved a moment frozen in time, allowing future generations to peer back into the lives of ancient Romans. Today, Herculaneum stands as a testament to resilience, both human and natural. The ruins remind us how fleeting life can be, yet also how enduring culture and memory are. Historians still argue about many details, but the story of Herculaneum's destruction continues to captivate scholars and the public alike. You might find it comforting to know that despite the horror, the city's rediscovery has led to incredible advances in archaeology and volcanology. Its lessons help prepare us for future volcanic events, saving lives and deepening our respect for the Earth's power. Interestingly, modern visitors can walk the ancient streets, feeling a connection across centuries, almost hearing echoes of laughter, footsteps, and whispered prayers amid the stones. So as you lay down and let your mind drift, remember the people of Herculaneum, not just as victims of a disaster, but as vibrant souls who lived, loved, and left behind a story that still speaks to us.